What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Cartoon Season. I am Tyler, as always. And this is the show where we get to talk about all types of animation. We got cartoons, we got anime, right? Both, not hemispheres. Hemispheres is north and south. What's the east and west called? It's still called hemisphere. And then obviously we can do movies or shows, any types of stuff under that amazing Venn diagram. Today we are covering an anime show. We're doing Attack on Titan Season 1. Season 1, yes, I am very behind in Attack on Titan. Season 4 is airing right now. Also the final season, but I figure this is the best time as any to try to run through the whole show. And yeah, we're going to get into some stuff. We're going to get into a little bit of the hype. Not really the hype, the more of like raising the stakes that the show does very well in just one season. It is 2 cores, right? There's 25 episodes in this one. I already forgot. But I mean, even in that short amount of time, they do a very good job of raising these stakes when it comes to the Titans. And I want to talk about the main 3 dynamic. We have our little trio here, which a lot of anime do. A lot of anime have a trio, but I think this one does it very, very well. And then also getting into the inevitable Season 2 predictions. Again, I do not know anything about Attack on Titan. I've been able to avoid it, for better or for worse. And so yeah, we'll have some good no knowledge predictions. But before we get into that, just want to let everyone know that you can find more episodes of this on the Tiger T YouTube channel. Nice thing about video, we got little images up here. But if you're more so just all audio, you can go to many different podcast services, find it there. Links will be in the description for all the places you can find the show. And also you can follow both Tiger T and me personally on Twitter, if that interests you for whatever reason. And yeah, that's pretty much all the boring stuff. So let's actually get into the episode. So, like I said, first I want to talk about raising the stakes when it comes to the Titans, okay? The Titans are huge creatures, very deadly, right? They're somewhat human-like, but they are deadly machines, okay? They don't really have any thoughts or feelings. It's kind of like how we imagine dinosaurs to be, like the T-Rex and whatever. Like, we always imagine them to be all instinct. They don't really think necessarily. They just have these few things that their brain, their body tells them they have to do every day to survive, and then to mate and, I don't know, carry on the T-Rex lineage. So you figure Titans are kind of the same way, where they're just these big, huge, deadly, powerful creatures that don't really think necessarily about killing. There's just something in their bones, something in their DNA that tells them that they only ruthlessly kill humans. So I mean, that in itself is already a really cool setup for an antagonist of sorts, where there's not a main antagonist of the show. At least not yet from what I've seen. The antagonist is like the world. It is the fact that there are these things called Titans that exist that are pretty much always knocking on their door, and they live in fear of. But even from that, they introduced that very early on in the show, because that, again, like I said, that is the main other side to the show. But then they immediately say, okay, well now there's all these crazy Titans too. Like, we get hit with a 60-meter Titan that knocks down the wall, letting other Titans in. So right from there, we get introduced to this idea of these new creatures, and then we get hit with some other like mutations of them, I guess, where, okay, now there's this huge one that is actually able to knock down part of the wall. The wall was supposed to be our mainline defense. And even if they do get through, it's usually like maybe one kind of normal one, and there's people here to defend it, But with this one, it's like, okay, now there's this huge guy knocking down everything, letting the floodgates in, and now we're in trouble. So right there, they introduced, there's a huge Titan now, and something they've never seen before, right? Then we get hit with another one. We got this armored Titan that's able to ram one of the inner gates. So right there, it's like, okay, there's regular Titans that are pretty tough to kill. Now you have an armored Titan that you can't really get through his skin. So your main defense, you can see right here, we got we got Eren with the sword things. Gonna be very tough to get through this dude. You're gonna be very, very skilled to find his weak point or whatever, or actually even hit the weak point. Even though you know it, you can't necessarily hit it. So we got an armored Titan, and now we got a Colossal Titan that breaches the gate. So and I think this is the Colossal Titan right here that you see on the screen. He's got like no skin, very, very weird. But like now you got this other huge one that has this other weird quirk about him, and it's just like, I don't think, I guess maybe anyone who thought of the Titans would have thought of this eventually, but like to create this race of like beasts, and then to think, okay, now how can we spin that on its head and we give them like powers almost, to make them even scarier and even deadlier and even more of like a force of nature almost. And I think they did a really good job. And then we have a Titan that kills other Titans, knows hand-to-hand combat. Obviously that's Eren. But even with that, now there's this other weird like nuance to them where there are humans that can become Titans, or like take the shape of Titans, or like what's the Power Rangers thing where they're like metamorph, into like the Megazord and stuff. Like now there's people that can do that. So now there's this whole other area, and probably the most confusing thing and the most interesting thing in like the Titan research world. We see that with the scientist where she's like, I got to find out like how this happens and what triggers it and all that, because now we got humans that can turn into Titans. So now that kind of changes everything we know about the relationship between humans and Titans. Are they actually connected in some way, or is it just a weird like scientific, even magical anomaly? Eren emerges from the Titan. We already know that. We know Eren's a Titan. And now there's a female Titan. So now we go from, okay, maybe Eren is the weird one. Maybe there is something about his dad, I think, was like a scientist of sorts. Maybe it was just something like that, where like his dad experimented on him or whatever, and somehow was able to get to the point where he turned his son into a Titan. That was a female Titan. So now in that moment, we don't know who that is. We don't even know if that's a human that turned into one at that point. We just know that there's this human Titan that is way more athletic, is way more like aware of what's going on. She's like picking people to kill. She has like the ice powers, the like crystal powers that cover her neck. Like she's way more aware of everything. She, even more so than Eren at the time, I feel like was way more of an example of a human that has taken a Titan form. Because Eren was kind of clumsy with it. So even with that, it's likely that this is because a female Titan has turned into a Titan many, many, many more times. Maybe even knew that she had this power, was specifically bred for this, rather than Eren just kind of stumbling into it. And then later on we know that's Annie, and that crushes some theories about what that Titan could be, but it raises so many more. Of like, okay, now this is a thing. Now we're not even really, we're still worried about Titans, of course, but now we're worried about, is this, like, what kind of pattern is this? Is this just a coincidence, or is there some other facet to the show where there is this technology, or this dark magic to turn people into Titans for some sort of purpose? Like how high does this go? How much of a conspiracy is this? And I think that right there, like, us going from, oh man, there's Titans coming, we gotta kill them or else they're gonna wipe out humans, to this becoming more of like a mystery show, and more of like, obviously there's a lot of action that's very well animated, and I love all the fight scenes and stuff, and the chemistry between different characters. We're gonna talk about the main three in just a moment, but like, this show really does go through a whole arc of like what to expect and what you think the show is gonna be about, and it completely changes. And I just think that's really, really cool. And it definitely keeps you engaged, because it's not just a show where humans fight Titans and there's a wall between them. Like, there's so much more that gets unraveled, throughout the 25 episodes or whatever. But yeah, and obviously, there's a whole ending that we'll talk about at the end when we get to season 2 predictions. But I think raising the stakes and like keeping you guessing, this show does it better than probably most anime I've seen. So I can totally see why, people fell in love with this show. Well, I don't remember what people's perception of the first season was. I mean, imagine it had to be good for them to get a second one, but I don't know. And then, like I said, we'll move on to the main three's dynamic. I know Levi is here. He's not part of the main three, but I mean, he's pretty cool. He's a pretty cool character. But we got the main three here. We got Eren, Armin, and Mikasa, or Mikasa. I don't know. I would say when I say Mikasa, it sounds like mi casa, which is Spanish for my house. Always feels weird when I say Mikasa, but anyway. So yeah, Eren, Mikasa, Armin, Armin and Eren. So it's a nice setup where Eren and Mikasa rank top 10 in the class, both for really different reasons. Eren is more so just like pure will of like this is kind of always what he wanted, and especially with what happened with his mom, he kind of feels like this is his like calling, not his calling, his purpose in life at this point. Like he has to go out and he has to kill every last Titan for what they did, and so it can't happen again. And while Mikasa is kind of driven, I mean, I don't know why she's so good at what she does. I don't think we got any backstory of like her being super good at like fighting or anything like that, but like we know that a huge driving point for her is being by Eren's side, because of their whole backstory and what Eren did for her, when they were kids. She's like joined at the hip with him because she feels like owing her life to him, I guess, in a way. I don't really know if it goes that far, but somewhat on that level of like, she owes him her life, and so she's gonna follow him and help him do whatever he wants, and they do end up both in the top 10 again. Because Mikasa definitely feels more of like, if we're gonna compare this to other trios in anime, the first trio in anime that I always think of is Naruto. We got Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura, and Mikasa definitely feels more of like a Sasuke to me, where like we don't really see her train, we don't really see her work hard, and I'm not saying she doesn't, but like she definitely feels more of like this is just kind of in her blood, and she's just good at this. She's just good. Not that she's lazy. Because Sasuke got a little lazy at one point. Had to have Naruto there to, light a fire in his soul for him to actually get better rather than just like resting on his laurels. But not quite the same situation here, where I feel like she definitely works hard and she definitely puts in the time and effort. But the reason I compare him is because then we got Eren, who definitely feels more of like a Naruto, where it's like Naruto's not. I mean, yes, he has like the 9 tails and his who he was trained by and everything, but he was not a good ninja. He just wasn't. He had to work really, really hard, and like he had to prove everyone wrong, and he was embarrassed, many times because of how bad he was at things. And I feel like Eren, the same thing happened with Eren, right, where he was trying to do the like rope thing, the like bungee thing, and he was not good at it at all. He wasn't really good at anything at the start of the show, and then he worked really, really hard, and there was even a comment about that, right, where I think his general or his commander or whatever they're called made that comment about him, where it's like he is the hardest worker of the entire group of everyone that I'm training right now. He's the hardest worker, and he proves it by getting to the top 10. And he also knew that he had to get in the top 10 so he can secure his spots, with the scouts, because that's who he wanted to be with. Because I'm pretty sure with the top 10 you got to pick. Oh wait, no, I'm wrong. I think if you graduate, you get to pick where you go anyway. But the top 10, only the top 10 get to be in the military police, I think. Something like that. I don't remember. But anyway, it was very important for him to get in the top 10. So he joins with the scouts because he wants to go out and he wants to be proactive. He wants to go kill Titans. He does not want to just sit with a cushy military police job like so many others. So many others wanted to have high scores so that they can get enrolled in the military police, because you get to go in like the inner ring, and basically nothing ever happens to you. You know, like you are the furthest possible away from Titans at this point. But you know, he joins them, and obviously Mikasa and Armin both follow. Mikasa for reasons that I kind of already explained. Armin because he's part of the group, and you know, I don't really think it's much more than that. He's just with them, and he's kind of drawn to them. And then we fast forward a little bit to Armin not being able to save Eren, and Eren gets eaten. That dynamic really hurts Armin. You know, he's like heartbroken over it, more than heartbroken. He's in shock. He thinks that he's the reason why Eren is dead now. You know, even though Mikasa, you know, like comforts him, you can tell there's like a weird tension between them because of that. And then even outside of the whole dynamic thing for a second, them killing off Eren is very Game of Thronesy. You know, I'm not saying, you know, Game of Thrones huge in pop culture. You know, Game of Thrones did not do everything first, but them killing off the main character like so early on, like I'm pretty sure it was before the half, like before halfway through the season. So at that point, it's like, you know, I think that is one of the big selling points for people on the show, is how they're able to do crazy stuff like that. You know, how they're not afraid to kill people. You know, I think it's Game of Thrones, people love that. You know, early Walking Dead, you know, people love Walking Dead for that, where they're like, no one's safe. I mean, a few people are safe, but really no one is safe in you know, early Walking Dead. So, you know, I think that was definitely a big thing for, you know, Attack on Titan fans too, where him getting eaten is like, whoa, where did this could change the whole show. And then we get a little bit of a flashback, you know, as kids, Eren saves Mikasa, you know, from slave traders, and then also gave her the confidence to save him back. You know, so that right there is kind of the story I was talking about earlier, where this is the reason why, you know, Mikasa, you know, follows him everywhere, will do anything for him, you know, because if Eren wasn't there, she probably would have gotten slave traded, you know, and her life would have been ruined, like absolutely ruined. But even off of that, because like, you know, something that's really obvious, I think the other thing that's almost as important, if not more important, is the fact that Eren being there changed something in her, you know, made her more confident, made her more aggressive, you know, made her kind of grow into her own, you know, and not just continue to be someone who sits there and doesn't really take action. You know, so I think Eren being there, and, you know, him being there was very stupid. You know, he was a kid. He didn't really have any business being there. You know, he was able to get the jump on a couple of them just because he's a kid, and there was no one, you know, they obviously weren't expecting a dumb kid to you know, to actually pose any threat. They're just like, get out of here. And then he was able to stab him and all that stuff. But him being there, very dumb. But even with the dumb confidence that he had, you know, that was enough to kind of flip a switch in Mikasa, and, you know, have them still be alive today. Well, I guess Eren just died, but you know what I mean. And then, like I said, Armin tells Mikasa that Eren has died, and Mikasa stands strong with Armin. Again, I do feel like watching that there was a little bit of underlying, I don't know, like tension, I guess, between them, you know, just because, you know, I'm sure she feels like if she was there, she would have been able to save him. You know, I don't think she blamed Armin in any way when he told her that, but, you know, it's tough. You know, it's tough, you know, especially when someone, you know, I imagine when someone close to you gets murdered and another person that was close to you was there, you know, there's probably a little bit of you that, you know, the irrational part of you is like, oh, well, why didn't you do anything? You know, why? And Armin literally did not do anything, but, you know, them still being together, you know, especially them being the best friends of Eren, like, you know, I think that bond is still strong enough. And it was, you know, it was. And then she breaks down when they see Eren emerge from the Titan. Like that was like a whole thing, right? Like seeing her come out, or not her, him come out, probably broke her brain. Very happy if that is actually Eren, right? That he's alive, but also many, many, many more questions to be had. Like short-circuited, I'm sure, because no one's ever seen anything like that before. And then we have a little bit later, which, you get to really see Armin show why he should be part of this team. And, he's not just a friend that they, he's not just like a lost puppy they took in. Because, Armin at this point, again, I don't know anything about Attack on Titan, but I've heard things. I hear that Armin gets a lot cooler, a lot doper throughout the show. But, like, even right here, he proves why he's essential and why he does stick out. Him and Mikasa verbally defend Eren from Kits and the soldiers, because they know there's something wrong with him. They know, I think at this point they saw that he was like part Titan or something, and they want to kill him. They're like, well, he's, because this is something I've never seen before. You just don't understand it. Your brain can't get wrapped around an idea like this. So most of them are thinking that, well, that's a Titan that is disguising as a human, not the other way around. So of course, if you think that's like, well, they're a ninja now. They're sneaking into our place. At any point, he's gonna turn into a Titan and kill us all. And now he's behind the wall. So perfectly reasonable response to a thought process like that. Obviously, we know that's not true. Well, I guess we assume it's not true. I guess they could pull a trick on us and say, that was actually a Titan the whole time. But I imagine not. Then what's the next thing I got here? And then Eren does turn partial Titan to save Armin and Mikasa from the cannon. That was really cool. And I really like that aspect too, of like, it shows that he doesn't have to turn into a full Titan every time. There's like, the Titan in him can like partially come out to do certain things. And that also is the start. We don't really realize it at the time, but that is the start of the idea that he has to have a very specific goal in mind to turn into a Titan. Like we see it later. I don't think I mentioned it anywhere, but we do see it later when he goes to pick up a spoon. He turns to his whole arm turns to a Titan, so he can pick up the spoon really efficiently or something. But that is another cool introduction and just kind of adding to this weird lore of Eren being able to turn into a Titan. And then let's see. And then Armin, again, he mostly convinces Kits that Eren is good. He's 90% of the way there. He doesn't quite get there, but again, even that much with Armin proving to Kits, and then even the whole entire squad, right, is still proof enough that, like, this is what his strength is. At least at this point in the show, this is what his strength is like having plans, speaking to people, almost like persuasion in a way. But not persuasion through like emotion, more so persuasion through logic. And it's really cool to see what he does with that in further seasons. But he is saved by Commander Pixis, I think is how you say it. I don't remember how you say it. But he's saved by him because this commander is like kind of insane, I guess. Kind of not insane, more like eccentric. And obviously he outranks Kit, so he says, no, this is what we're gonna do. A little later, Eren attacks Mikasa in Titan form. That kind of throws everything off. I think that was a cool thing to show because it adds a wrench to the plan where it's like Eren is not always he's not in full control of this. It's something very new to him. He's not had practice. Obviously, later we see Annie, who seems to have all the control, complete motor control over everything. Eren does not. And again, that kind of throws everything off. We eventually go to, court and everything, and that's a whole branch that I'm sure we'll see a lot more ramifications of next season. But but I do like that point because I think an easier and I think lazier thing that the show could have done is just been like, okay, we've introduced that Eren's Titan now. He's good. He has full control of the powers. He's amazing, and everything works out. I think that's something that a lot of anime do, where the mastering of certain skills just takes way not enough time, and doesn't feel earned. So like showing that Eren still can't really control all of this stuff is nice because, then you get to see the growth. And then Mikasa, nope, that's wrong. Armin stabs Eren and reminds him to kill all Titans. Eren regains control. Again, I think that's again folded into the whole, he has to have a goal in mind, and I think him not having experience with the Titan is hard to kind of sift through, and to have that thought like penetrate to the brain and have it stay there, like to actually concentrate. But again, I love that. I love their dynamic. I love their friendship. I love that Eren is there. I keep confusing them. The reason I keep confusing them is because Armin starts with an A, and I always think of Eren starting with an A. Eren does not start with an A, starts with an E. Very confusing. So yeah, Armin's whole thing, like him being there, and again him thinking logically, and him being like, "That's what I gotta do. I'm gonna stab him, and then yell at him to not forget your goal, to not forget your mission in life, to kill all Titans." And that kind of gets through to Eren, and Eren is able to break through the Titan cloud brain, and able to, finish the mission, basically. And then Mikasa was going to try to save Eren from the female Titan. I think that just goes to further show how her loyalty to him, and how like she was kind of beat up, and how Annie, we know it's Annie at this point, or not at this point in the show, I don't think, but like, after the fact, we know it's Annie, obviously. We know that she's really good. And like, Mikasa, very, very good scout. Like, very, very good. But even Levi was having trouble. And like, Levi's skill, like, that's also another thing I love about, it always happens in this show, happens a lot of anime too, but like, when you see a really strong person and you kind of see them work up to that point, and then you just see another person come out of nowhere, and they're like 10 times better, and you're like, oh, that guy's cool. That's exactly how I feel about Levi. Or Levi comes in, he clearly has way more experience to further strengthen his skill. Whereas like Mikasa doesn't really have too much experience in this. Even though she was part of this class that was thrown into the deep end. And then Mikasa and Armin convince Eren to turn into a Titan to fight Annie. Again, I think that their dynamic and their friendship really helps each other out, and like covers each other's weaknesses very well. It definitely seems like Eren has had issues with turning into a Titan before, and like even even him wanting to kill Annie, it's still like, but I know Annie, like she trained with us, but so these doubts start to creep in, and his friends are there. Armin and Mikasa are there to be like, you're right, but she is a Titan, and she has done bad things. She has killed other of our friends, and she kind of wants to kill you. So you gotta do something. So that kind of wraps up the whole main three dynamic thing. I think it's a great trio. I don't think this trio has a weak link. I think a lot of anime trios do have a weak link. And I think that probably the weakest link for me is Armin, but that's just like physically. He's just not the best fighter, but like, I don't by any means hate Armin or dislike Armin's character. I think his character is very interesting, and I think he can do a lot of things that the other two can't. So it's cool. And the only one other thing before I move on to season 2 predictions is, I'll just talk about Mikasa, and I really hope they don't turn, and it's kind of transitions right into season 2 predictions, but I really hope they don't ruin her character, because like, she isn't there yet, but I could definitely see them turning her character into just like, I don't want her whole character to be doing whatever Eren says. I don't want her to turn into a little puppy, basically, because she is a really cool character. She's a really good fighter. She has a lot of good ideas. She's very strong. I think the attachment to Eren is good when it's used as an addition to her character, not for her existing, so I really hope they don't ruin her and make it so she's just like this little lapdog to Eren, because I think that would, I don't know, that wouldn't be good. Because I've seen it happen to other female anime characters before, where they start out kind of strong and then they get destroyed by just like ignoring the character itself and just focusing on other people, but yeah. And finally, we got season 2 predictions. Yeah, I got a few here for you. I think that they will break through the ice. I said ice because it looks like ice. I guess it's more crystal. But they will break through the crystal to get to Annie. I think next season is a shorter season though. I think it's only 13 episodes, so it's like a regular length. So maybe that's too early, but like, it's definitely got to be something that they address. I mean, because that being the huge ending to the first season of like it being outed that it is Annie, and then her being defeated, her trying to like escape the wall basically, and then her being defeated, and then covering herself in this ice to protect herself is like, it's like a defense mechanism. So it's like she knows something. Like, I don't think it was just, I'm gonna protect myself because I don't want you guys to throw me in jail. I don't think I think that she knows stuff that kind of adds to this whole like conspiracy that could go further into why is she able to turn into a Titan? Why is Eren able to turn into a Titan? What was her mission? Did someone send her? Who sent her? I think there's a lot of questions, and I think that she turned into a crystal because of that, because she didn't want those secrets to be forced out of her. But I do think there's got to be some sort of breakthrough. Like, even if they don't physically break through the ice, I think there's got to be something that happens with their character. Like, we can't just throw that to the side. I think that'd be crazy. Hopefully we get to the basement. That's something that has been mentioned multiple times in the show. There's some secrets in Eren's basement you assume it has to do with his father. Hopefully we get there. Again, maybe we won't, but I think that Annie thing is a little more pressing than the basement thing. The basement thing can definitely seem like a towards the end of the show kind of thing. But I don't know. I believe we're gonna get some small teases that show more Titans in the walls. I don't know how deep we'll go into it with season 2, because again, it's kind of weird for me because I know there's 4 seasons, so I'm trying to like pace everything out. Again, that was a big thing at the very end, almost like a mid-credit scene where we see some of the wall that got broken away. We see Titans within the walls. I imagine we're going to touch on that at least a little bit in the next season. I don't know that anyone saw it. It could have just been like us as the audience, but I mean, we got to get into it a little bit, right? I mean, that's a huge thing. All these little questions that they had at the final episode, they did that for a reason, and for like those to not at least be addressed, maybe not fully answered, but they have to be addressed somewhat. I think it's inevitable that we'll see more crazy Titan variants. We got introduced to so many in the first season. I can't imagine they threw them all in the first season and now we're just gonna coast. Maybe ones with like more limbs. I think that's always an easy kind of variant. And then teases more of the outside world. I think that's one of the more fascinating aspects of the show is the few times that they've shown how like they don't know what outside the walls really look like. I mean, we know a little bit, but like the whole thing like oceans, like an ocean is like a crazy concept to them, I guess. The idea of there being more people somewhere else, crazy concept. So I think that we're gonna get more teases of that. I don't think we're gonna see any I don't think we're gonna see like another city or anything like that, but I think that they're gonna tease it more because I do think that's more of like an underlying plot of the show. But I do think that fascination, like even Eren finding like that book, right? I think it was Eren when he was a kid, he found the book of like different things that was of the outside world of like the past or whatever. I do hope they play with that more because that's always interesting because that's that plays more with like the civilization that we know right now in Attack on Titan. You know, the whole walls and the rings and whatever. Like that plays with a big brain idea on top of the more, you know, prominent threat of Titans attacking the walls, you know. So it's on multiple layers. You know, so I think it would be me personally, I think it would be a mistake, you know, to not delve deeper into that in some way. But yeah, that is all the predictions I have, I believe. Yes, that is it. So yeah, I think overall, very, very good season, very, very good show. Something I didn't mention, this show was something that I've started, that I've watched once before. So this is not my first time I've watched season 1. I have watched season 1 previously, like 4 years ago or something, 5 years ago, and I did not like it. I watched literally the entire season just because it was, you know, huge hype around it, and I wanted to see what the hype was all about. And I watched the whole season, didn't like it, didn't continue on. I didn't really understand why people love the show so much. Decided to give it another chance because the final season is coming out, and people say the show is really, really good. You know, it's more like a modern anime classic, right? Like 2010s sort of thing. And I love it. Love the show. Great show. Fantastic. I think, again, the mixing of the Titans with like the more mystery and like the world, and you know, I think there's a lot of really good stuff set up here, and I hope they deliver. You know, from what I hear, again, I don't know anything specific, but you know, people have continued to enjoy the show. You know, I think there's a lot of examples of shows having a really dope first season and then trying to capitalize off of that and make more of the story, and it's just not working. You know, so this show so far, from what I've heard, kind of lives up to everything. So that's good. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about the first season. I'll watch second season as soon as I possibly can. Probably sometime tomorrow or today even. I don't know. But yeah, let me know what you thought of the first season. If you're new to this with me, that's cool. We can watch it together. And then if you're not, if you're catching up, if you're watching fourth season right now, I'm sure it's interesting to hear my very old thoughts. But yeah, if you are watching it with me, let me know what your predictions are as well for season 2. Be interested to see what those are, because I think I hit some more like the more obvious ones, but be interested to see if you have like some crazy radical ones. And yeah, like I said, I'll get to season 2 as soon as I can. You know, make sure to watch more episodes of this. Obviously, future episodes will be out on Tiger T, YouTube, as well as other podcast services. But I do have a lot of other episodes. I don't know how many episodes I have at this point. Probably, I don't know, like a dozen, maybe more. Maybe like 20. No, it can't be 20. It might be 20. No, I don't know. Maybe close to 20. I don't know. Lots of other shows, anime, cartoons, movies, all that stuff. Make sure to watch other episodes. Let me know what you want me to watch and discuss, dissect, you know, all that stuff. Yeah, no, I think that's pretty much it. Also at this point, I'm actually really close to recording. Like, you know, I'm usually pretty far ahead in these episodes, but I kind of ran out of episodes at this point. But as of this point, another podcast, Untitled and Unfocused. I'll say that again, Untitled and Unfocused. Another podcast I do right here on Tiger T is out. It is back. Is back after a 7-month hiatus. Do another podcast with my friend Raymond. We talk about anime, of course, lots of anime. Also some video games, movies, books, you know, lots of other stuff. It's mostly anime though. But that's out. That's also on the Tiger T YouTube channel and on other various podcast platforms. So go watch that. If you watch it on YouTube, you get to see our faces. So I don't know if that's a selling point or not for you, but yeah, go listen to that because those episodes get a little crazy sometimes. So that's always a lot of fun. And me and him, we got other stuff cooking. Other than that, so you know, be sure to check that out. And yeah, this episode is already at a good length. So yeah, nothing else to talk about. Yeah, until next time, watch Attack on Titan Season 2 if you haven't already. And let me know what else you want to see me talk about or hear me talk about.